self are one and the same. But we have to go back a little, and as a seeker, we should remind ourselves what are the fourfold qualifications. So, a person is ready to awaken and realize, provided a person is qualified. So, we talk about Viveka and Vairagya. So, Viveka is the power of intellect that separates the mixture. We have been giving an example: rice and sesame seed, milk and the water, but they are the objects in the world. They are the objects in the world. Okay, yes, they are the objects. But here we are talking of the power of the intellect, that is Viveka, to separate the knowledge of the false and the real. And that is inside my head. The wave does not say I am false, I am only water. Whereas water does not say that you are looking at me, forget about it. I do not exist. So, first the master says, understand with the objective reality, objective world. But now we have to separate false from the real. False does not exist. It appears only as the name and the form, whereas water, wave, etc., etc. So, where the viveka has to be applied? What is false has to be recognized and left. Where? In the intellect. How? By the dialogue. That is what the master and a disciple tradition. So Viveka is the first power of the intellect that makes one a seeker. I see, I experience the wall, but the science tells me it is one characteristics of a matter which appears as a solid, but it is not. Then what is left? Energy. So that knowledge should happen in the intellect. So once we live in that viveka, there is a natural result which is known as vairagya, the dispassion. What is false is known and it is left. But the mind goes back again and again. Mind says, what will happen tomorrow? I don't have money. I will buy big car because I have lot of money. The mind is constantly running in the east, in the world outside. So I have to become aware of that mind. You are not running anywhere until I realize the real self. That is what the dispassion is. Dispassion is not as that you should have a big dot comb here, you wear the orange colored clothes, you sit in the Himalayas and thinking of a beautiful girl. It does not work. So once the viveka is there, viveka says this knowledge of the false is left. I recognize there is a cognitive ability. That cognitive ability you can say self-awareness. I'm just aware. And that results into dispassion. So what it happens, the way I keep on looking at the mirage water, and it is very common in this Arizona, it's a desert state. I keep looking, I experience it, but I drop and dissolve that experience of mirage water in the presence of a knowledge. Little typical, but not very difficult for you. Understand in a different way. That undesirable desire are dropped from the mind to allow the knowledge of the real self to take place. Undesirable desire. What is undesirable desire? Honey, you give me peace and love. Money, you give me happiness. Pleasure of all kinds, give me something. That is known as fearlessness, a sense of security. That mind is gone. Why that mind should go? By the practice of viveka and vairagya. They are false. They are to be left. Do I have an ability as a seeker to drop and dissolve these movements of the mind to allow the real self to appear? So it's not, these are not the big words. We already have a viveka and vairagya on certain objects of the world. We have always the craving for other objects of the world. So it's only a matter of self-awareness and emotional freedom. Or you can say it is a kind of mental maturity, emotional maturity. Nothing else. I'm making it very simple. Why it is so? Unless I know what is real and unreal, then only I can know Viveka. I know the mirage water, I know the desert, I know the sand and the sunlight. So the sand and sunlight goes together, they mix up and create a phenomena known as mirage. So I know the sunlight, I know the sand, I know the mirage water. Now I see mirage water does not exist. It is a phenomena of the sun and sunlight and the sand. Look at these masters, how penetrating uh, intellectual understanding. The same way, I should know what exactly is the real and what you say is unreal. Explain me. So then only I can do Viveka. How can I do Viveka without knowing it? So Master says, Satchidanand alone is real. Consciousness alone is real. Or you can use another word, real self alone is real. Supreme consciousness alone is real. Rest is false. Rest is false. Means only one thing is real, the rest are false. It further means what I think I am is also unreal. I think about myself in a different ways. From there you start the journey. I become aware. I think I am the body, unreal. I am the mind, unreal. False. It appears. It appears. So we are understanding real and the unreal. So what we to know the real is to leave the unreal. First recognize it completely and leave it. We leave the mirror water, we leave the waves, we leave the snake in the rope. What I think, what I am is unreal because it comes from the mind. It comes from the observation of the mind. It comes from an experience of the mind. This young guy, we had a session yesterday. Same thing, I'm terribly disturbed. I said, why you are disturbed? Question. Because she did not send, neither she did call me and nor she sent me the text. Okay. So if she sends you the text and she sends you a message, you will be happy. Yes. So happiness depends on the text message or on her. Penetrating. This is what the Viveka is. So you keep on dropping. Oh, you read the message, you will be happy, or she is with you when she is happy. Then he got confused. No, no, even if he sends me the message, okay, give me her number, I will ask her that you only need a text message to be happy. He's very intelligent. She said, no, that makes a sense. So I'm waiting, but why my mind is seeking? Because of your ego. You identify yourself. No, but you said before delusion. After the delusion, you have an ego. Delusion builds ego. Ego is a part of delusion. Oh, that seems okay, but if she. I said you have to be careful. You have to be very careful in asking me another question. You maintain your awareness. And he started laughing. He said, is laughing is a sign of your frustration and failure? No, it is an experience of the knowledge of the real versus unreal. We spent more than an hour. He said, no, 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 no. So, what I think, what is my experience are two things. But when the master says real self is only one, because they are two, I drop it. I drop all my experiences that comes into the mind by the sense organ, observation of the phenomena in the world. Now see. No, no, you are telling me you will make me understand what is real. But you are only talking of the unreal. No, but the real self is present there. Real self is present there. You did not talk about it. The one who knows unreal is the real. The one who is the knower of the unreal, false, delusion, including ego, is the real self, is already present there. Is the subjective reality, is the real self, is the supreme consciousness. How can you say it is not present? The false cannot know the false. I told you, mirage water cannot know the mirage water. Camera can take pictures of anything in the world except oneself. Look at it. Camera, even if selfie, you can take your selfie, but the camera cannot take its selfie. Camera takes pictures of the world, but camera cannot take picture of itself. Objects cannot know the sense organs. That is why Ashtavakra says, if we go back, objects, sense organ knows the object, objects cannot know the senses, sense organs cannot know the mind, mind knows the senses, and the real self knows the mind, but mind cannot know the real self. The real self is known by the real self itself. That is one way to understand. No, but you have explained, you have defined where is the experience, here and now. Here and now, when we are talking, when we are understanding this. How do I know the body is false? So there is a knower. How I know the mind is false? Who knows the knower? How I know the sense organs are limited? There is only one knower. We will talk later. Wherever there is a mind, is a knower, there is real self present. Mind cannot be present without the real self. Same example. Mirage water cannot be present without sunlight and the sand. Waves cannot be present without the presence of a water. Do you see that? How beautiful it is to understand. So we are understanding that. You see that? See the understanding. Yes, you're right, because mirage water is an effect. The cause is sunlight in the sand. Effect is the snake that appears in a delusion, but fact, if the rope is not present, how can I see the snake? How can I see the wave if there is no water? How can I see? Oh, we can take this example, we can extend this example. The wife is not present without a woman. Husband is not present without a man. That's a very simple example. You're right. We forget the women, we remember wife. Why you are talking to that handsome guy? Don't you see that I'm more handsome than him? Oh, we have lot of things. Think. Contemplate and reflect. And when you reflect, oh, it's a mirage water, it's so false. Thought comes to an end. And I live into that state of awareness. Another point that we picked up, that wherever there is a perception, there is a cognition, there is an awareness, the real self is always present. We get carried away by the delusion, by the name and the form. Objective world is nothing but the name and the form. And because every name and the form is limited, so the mind does not want to believe there is a real self which is infinite, which is all pervading, which is full of peace and happiness. Mind says, make me believe. Because I always see the limited. You are sitting in your country, you are limited. I'm sitting in this country, I'm limited. Limited by the body, limited by the mind, limited by the cognition, limited by. And that causes the insecurity, that causes the pain, that causes the duality, that causes the unhappiness. So the master says, Viveka and Vairagya we have done, but We have to remain alert and aware if the mind is working on me, because the mind will mix up again the real and unreal. So, so we have a six treasures. You have to see these fourfold qualification totally in a different perspective as the highest level of a seeker. So, sama means we are constantly working on the mind. Dhamma means we are constantly working on the sense organs. Operati means what? Operati means there is a sense of emotional dependence that I recognize and I drop it. Operati means emotional dependence is not there, emotional freedom is there on the objects of. Uparati means going beyond, going above, sitting above, sitting above, going beyond, sitting above the objects and the senses and the mind. Check what you are doing at present, be there, focus there. What we are doing? We are learning, we want to know the real self. So there comes a natural focus of the mind to know what is real and unreal. So Viveka is present, Vairagya is present, Sama is present, Dhamma is present, Uprati is present. And what is Titiksha? Titiksha, because of my past impressions, the mind will go back, cause the craving, cause and effect relationship, will take my mind away from knowing what is real and unreal. So all the aspects are working at the same time. You simply remember Uparati and sitting above, finished. Craving is gone. Titiksha, endurance. I cannot attend a session because I have a headache. No, you must attend the session because you have a headache. Titiksha. That is Titiksha. And then the faith. You have a faith in the knowledge passed on by the teacher from the Eastern wisdom. So, what happens? We have too much of faith in the teacher, we don't have a faith in the knowledge. I love you, teacher. I had one who attends a group session. Sir, we went to the ashram and we paid. I said, now my guru is in the form of a statue. So you are bowing down to that statue, and the statue is not able to say you anything. He is not going to fire you. He is not going to check your the challenges or the cravings that you have. So you find a liberty, craving continues, and you are going down. You don't practice these principles, and you say that Guru is great. No, the knowledge of the Guru is always great. Guru has no role to play. Guru just passes on the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom to a seeker. My master used to say that what I have, nobody wants to take. What I want to give, nobody wants to take. What I have left, everyone comes, touches my feet, and says, "Please give me the blessing. I should become a millionaire." So this Shraddha, that is what the Shraddha is, the belief in. And once we have Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, six treasures, there is a natural focus of the mind. Now the mind is not going anywhere. It has a burning and intense desire. It has an intense desire to know the real self. That is the fourfold qualifications. So when this mind says, "I'm a qualified seeker," Yes, I am a qualified seeker, I am alert and aware. So this master now, the Vichar Sagar master says, there is one reality. It is a non-dual pure consciousness. It is the real self. It is the supreme consciousness that I am. I am the real self. Now see, another problem comes. I am a businessman, very well known. I am a man, known. I am a woman, known. I live in states, yes. I live in Ukraine, that is clear. 100% clear. But what happens when I say I'm real self? So, where is the problem? That we have to find out. I'm married, yes. I'm divorced, yes. I'm single, yes. I'm man, yes. I'm real self. I'm supreme consciousness. I'm non dual consciousness. Nothing happens. Why? How? How it should happen. First thing is why and how it should happen.
But what can happen? Nothing.
What did you say? How it should happen. Can we recall Viveka? Yes. Real self alone is eternal and nothing else. What is others? The world of the name and the form. Senses in the mind that offers the knowledge of the world is not real. It is unreal. I need to be aware of it by Viveka, what I am and what I am not. It is so simple. The journey is very, obviously, it took me many years, but, but once you go deeper and you maintain that awareness, the journey becomes what I know is I am not. By that Viveka and Vairagya. That is the way to know who am I, what it means. It means that one who knows the world of name and the form is real self. It is present here and now. That who cannot be known by the senses and the mind is the real self. But again, the same problem comes. I am the real self. It doesn't work. It is a sentence, it is a word. I have to understand how it is true when I am saying I am the real self. I do not realize. So, how this master goes? Master says, understand the characteristics of this real self. So, our focus is same there that I am the real self, I don't realize. I don't experience, I don't know it. So the master says, know the characteristics of this real self. It is absolute truth. It is pure consciousness. It is wisdom. It is love. It is peace. It is happiness. What is the message? Can I see happiness? If I cannot see, but I have very distorted experiences of happiness in the form of a pleasure. So there is a mixture. I have to separate this pleasure and happiness. That is the first question we should understand by the characteristics of this supreme real self in the consciousness. Second question, he says, he goes too deeper. He says, first check, are we created by the Supreme Consciousness? Means, are we the creation of the God or the Supreme Consciousness? If we are created by the Supreme Consciousness, then we would be same like the Supreme Consciousness. We would be just like the God. Man and the women creates their offspring. They do not create a lion cub. So creation and the creator should be alike. We will also go in a deeper way. He goes in a very deeper way. What exactly is the creation? Is the wave creation of the water or manifestation of the water? Is the mirage water manifestation of the sunlight in the sun or a creation? Creation means that I separated. So that we will go later. There are many questions that, so whatever is created by the God will be like the God, will be like the Supreme Consciousness. So we have a puzzle, creation and the creator. Creation is an effect and creator is the cause. We are understanding by Viveka. So it's a play of cause and effect. So the creator is always bigger than the creation. So the body, mind, intellect, ego, all are creation, and there has to be a creator. Then again go deeper. Can creation know the creator? No. Creation cannot know the creator. Why? In the beginning it becomes very dry, but ultimately it comes with the emotion and love and wow, wow moment. Creation cannot know the creator. Computer cannot know who created it. Smartphone does not know who created it, cannot know. So the intellect, even after doing the viveka, intellect is a creation, cannot know the real self. I'm making it slowly. Intellect is a creation, or mind is a creation, whatever we say, intellect or the mind. Mind is a creation. So any creation cannot know the creator, so the mind cannot know the real self who created it. But there is still a puzzle. What exactly is this creation? That we will take up later. The conclusion is that the creation cannot know the creator. Why I say that we will take up later? That is how he made 570 topics. But if we mix up everything and we do not go systematically the way he says, then we will not fall. We will not be able to. We are still understanding the answer. What is the question? When I say I am the real self through the same mind, I don't realize it. Why? In that we answer two things. Characteristics of the Supreme Consciousness. Where is the absolute consciousness? We say absolute existence. We say absolute happiness, permanent happiness, whatever, the way I express it. Did the mind ever know what is permanent happiness? Did the mind know what exactly is absolute consciousness? Mind divides and perceives, so it cannot know it. So this master is raising our bar of awareness, self-awareness. We are going deeper. Second thing, that the creation cannot know the creator. Creation is nothing but the manifestation of the name and the form, including the mind, intellect, thought. Thought is also a creation. We are trying to solve the puzzle. For objective reality, I say I am a man, I am a husband, I am a wife, etc., and I know it really. But subjective reality, when I say I am the real self, I feel as if the real self is different than I.
Yeah.
As if it is sitting deeper inside and I'm looking at it. But problem is that I and the real self are one. I don't see that identity. I don't see that identity. I say I am the real self does not influence the intellect to declare I am the real self. I'm repeating it again. I say I am the real self does not influence the intellect to declare I am the real self.
Yes, intellect can declare whatever it wants.
What it wants. A statement and a thought can help me realize the objects of the world. If real self is an object, then it is no problem. Ah, this master blows our mind. The way he thinks, he says, "Don't do any practice. I will help you realize real self, and you are awake." So, do you see the penetrating understanding, such a deeper and subtler understanding? I say I am the real self does not influence the intellect to declare I am the real self. A statement or a thought can help me realize and experience the objects of the world. If the real self is an object, then there is no problem. So, what this master is doing? Master is saying, keep your mind in check. The moment it runs after the object to claim that you are the real self, drop it. Remember all the time, fourfold qualification, viveka, vairagya, shata sampatti, and keep your intense desire intact. What is the conclusion? The subjective reality that I have been repeating it again, but now we have a clear understanding. The subjective reality is not known by the mind. Means what? It cannot be known by the sentence, it cannot be known by the word. Oh, so I'm wasting my time when I say I'm the real self? No. No, but you say that Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Supreme Consciousness. You are still speaking of the thought. So are you opposing yourself? I know you can really reason out, that's why I have started. But real self or the supreme self is not an object that can be known by an intellect. What should I do? Tell me. The way I know the mirage water is false because of the sunlight and the sun. When I say I am not the body, mind, intellect, I keep my awareness, and who is the knower of this false, that is the way. Again, by knowledge takes place in the intellect. What knowledge takes place in the intellect? The mirror's water is an object, it is false. Knowledge in the intellect of the mirror's water takes place in the intellect to help me to know because of sunlight and sand. So, the ultimate cause, there is no other cause of it, and that is one way. Blueness of the sky, knowledge takes place in the intellect. Steadiness of the earth, knowledge takes place in the intellect. The snake in the rope, knowledge takes place in the intellect. So that's what we are talking of, right perception, right knowledge. We can draw from the observation in the intellect for any object. We will put them into so called practice in the next session. Oh, do you mean to say that do I know the real self in the same way? Yes, something like it. Again, I'm repeating. A lot of repetition is required. Mirage water is false. What is left is real. Sand and sunlight. Waves are false. Left by the Viveka and Vairagya. Left is water. Is the real. The mind is totally obsessed with the objects of the name and the form. Is false. The knower of it is the real self. The knowledge reveals. Can the knowledge reveal by saying I am the real self? Yes. In the beginning, I said no, but now I am saying yes. Why? You have to listen to it again and again, and then your mind should settle in this process, in this journey. Why we cannot realize the real self by the same method?
Because real self is not object. Any object is false.
Yes, yes, but the knowledge is awakened to me when I realize the mirror's water is false. The knowledge is awakened behind of the sunlight and the sand. Knowledge of a water is awakened when I realize the waves are false. Why not? The knowledge of the real self is awakened and the common topic, he returns to a common topic because of the impurity in the mind. So, what do you mean? Do you mean that when the mind or the intellect is purified 100%, the knowledge of the real self will be revealed? Yes. So, he does not say the intellect knows it. The knowledge of the real self is revealed, and that is known as awakening. So, now see the argument and the reasoning and the understanding. Can the mind know the real self? No. Can the pure mind knows the real self? Yes. Or you can say, can the impure intellect knows the real self? No. Can the pure intellect can reveal the knowledge of the real self? Yes. What is that revelation of the knowledge of the real self, it is a meditative state. What is a meditative state? Meditation simply means objectless state. Absence of all the objects means absence of all the objective reality. Do you see now he meets the contradiction. He proves that there is no contradiction. Can the mind realize the real self? No. Can the pure mind realize the real self? Yes. Or pure mind or pure intellect, whatever you say. So the pure intellect means the objectless state. And what is objectless state? It is a meditative state. The knowledge of
But
the real self is revealed.
mind is false, intellect is false, any object is
Yes, yes,
how
that's a good question.
intellect intellect is false.
Not only that, my dear friend, mind is a matter. How do you dare to say that you realize the real self in the mind? Mind is a matter. He takes up all those questions. Keep that questions in your mind. Mind is a matter. Thought is a matter. And you say, when I say real self and in the state of purity of the intellect, the knowledge of the real self is revealed? How dare you say that? You are wrong. So he says, wait. We are going step by step. You raised those questions and doubts, they are also valid. He has taken up those questions, but he also says, he challenges that your mind is a matter. He asks the question, mind is a matter. So there is an opposition, and the real self is consciousness. And you say that it is the same mind that realizes the real self or reveals the real self. How that is possible? In the first, just in a couple of more sessions, you will see that the way he goes deeper into understanding the mind, how the mind becomes conscious entity, what a thought is. So a thought, a reflected consciousness in the mind and the mind. Once we understand that, we are 100% clear, yes, we can reveal this real self. So keep that question into your mind. So we follow his approach. Let me give a brief, take a deviation and give you a brief answer. Pure intellect, understood, it is the absence of objects. It is an objectless state. It is a meditative state. The world of objects are absent, neither attached nor detached. Fourfold qualification, dispassion is there. Intellect or mind is a matter. Thought is also a matter. There is a reflection of consciousness in the intellect. Intellect is a medium. Mind is a medium. What is the reflected medium? Mirror. Sunlight falls on it, and I see the reflection there. The mind remains matter. But because it's a very subtle matter, the consciousness is reflected, it creates a reflected consciousness.
Yes, the all outside because connected in my
So I'm just giving an answer which comes into the 11th topic, but I'm just giving an answer. When I say I am the real self, ignorance is gone. Reflected consciousness becomes conscious of it, and the real self is realized. First thing, what I said, uh, there are many other questions, it may come at the 10th or 11th topic. I am the real self. No, forget about it. I am husband. That is purely a statement, it is a thought. Unless I become conscious of this, I don't realize that I am a husband. So that consciousness comes from the reflected consciousness in the mind. No? You don't get it? No worries.
No.
No, don't worry about it. We are going to I am the real self, not the false self is the knowledge. I am the
The
real self, not the false self is the knowledge. So it removes the ignorance.
knowledge is thought. Thought matter. Knowledge is matter.
Thought is a product of a knowledge. Thought is a product of knowledge.
Thoughts is product of mind.
Product of?
Where mind connects the external object, and between external object there is
Yeah.
thoughts.
Very good. You have to contemplate and reflect on one thing. When I say I am man, it is simply a pure thought. It is written in the books. We have millions of books. We have Google. All those
Yes, of
thoughts
course.
are written. But there is an entity who becomes conscious of that thought. Then I know that I'm a husband. Before it, that thought is just a matter. Think, think, think. You say, she is my wife, and you are not conscious of it. There is no meaning of this word, sentence. I am sitting. If you are not conscious, so there are two things. Thought, I become conscious of that thought. That I become conscious of that thought is a reflected consciousness in the same intellect. Think of these things: reflected consciousness, reflected medium is the mind or the intellect, and a thought. There are three things in the mind: reflected medium, mind; thought, product of the mind, as you rightly said. But if reflected consciousness is not there, I don't become conscious of it. Because I don't become conscious of it, I don't know it. I become conscious of you, then only I know you. Or I can simply say I know you. Means
But
what? I'm conscious of you.
it's not possible to have a situation where consciousness is present.
It is not.
So
It
it
is not.
means consciousness not here. So
Your voice is breaking up. You say it again.
so there is no situation where consciousness is not present.
Consciousness.
Consciousness present always and
Uh,
everywhere.
Reflected consciousness is absent in deep sleep. That's why the mind is not working. Come on.
Yes, but my body is not dying. My body is not destroyed. So
Yes,
consciousness is
yes,
present.
yes.
I don't awake, but consciousness is present.
We have a craving, we go to the mall, we are only conscious of that object of the craving. We see the mall, we are not.
But it's because my attention, but it not means that mall not exist.
Yet,
It means that my attention is fixed on the
uh,
particular scenes, but not on the general mall. But mall exists, so consciousness is present.
yes, consciousness is always present. whether the mind makes that consciousness reflected on the object is present or absent. To allow the consciousness to manifest, to become aware of the world, I need a reflected consciousness. So if the mind reflects that consciousness on a particular object, I become conscious of it, otherwise, I don't become conscious of it. In deep sleep, the consciousness is not reflected in the mind, so I don't know anything in the world. I don't know my body, I don't know my mind, I don't know. The same thing happens going to the mall. So we are not talking whether they exist or not. But even we say whatever we see, whatever is visible is nothing but the name and the form. So the mind filters one object in as comparison to the other because of duality and a conflict, because of the craving, because of the liking and disliking. So what happens? Now the mind is pure, intellect is pure. That reflection gives me the knowledge that the entire objective reality of the name and the form is the false, and the knower of that objective reality is the real self. There is a very interesting topic coming out, how this mind is working. I'm again going back to the advanced topic. When I say you are Taurus, the thought pervades on your name and the form. I'm jumping ahead because of your question, and we will go deeper into that question again. When I say you are, I know you, Taurus, this thought pervades the name and the form. That removes the ignorance, and then I become conscious of it. I have the knowledge that you are Taurus. Wait, slowly. We will go once we go. So just keep that in your mind that what we were talking, our discussion was that a pure intellect can know the real self, and the impure intellect cannot know the real self. But that knowledge is revealed knowledge. That knowledge is not the product of a thought. I am. Whether you say I am or you don't say I am, I still exist. I am is present there. You say it, you don't say it, that I am is always present. Whether I am sleeping, that I am is present because the consciousness is not reflected through the mind, so I don't know in deep sleep I am or not, but I am is still present. That is why in a waking state I recognize that I had a sound sleep. So in the mind, we had an impression stored that recognizes, that helps me to retrieve the memory and helps me realize that yes, I had a sound sleep. Still, I don't know the sound sleep because the consciousness is not reflected in the mind. The mind did not become a conscious entity. It does not mean I am is not present in the deep sleep. I am is the way I am is present in the waking state, the same way that I am is also present in the sleep. Same I am, that I am is not conscious of the entire mall. It does not mean I am is not present. We are not talking of whether the mall exists or not. We are talking of that I am. No worries, no worries if you did not get it. Let me make you understand by an example. Simple example. He gave the same example. I'm just talking about him. And think of that example again and again. So he says there is a lamp, put it into the box, one box, totally covered. And again it is put into the second box. And that box is lying in the room. The room is dark. And I ask you, I'm just giving his interpretation. I ask you, go and bring the lamp back. Lamp is already giving us the light. Will you go to the room and you say there is a total darkness? So I say take a torch. So you take a torch, you found the box, you open the first box, you open the second. The moment you open the second, there is no need to have a torch because the lamp is already giving us a light.
Yeah.
Lamp is already giving us a light. Now there is no need of a torch. How long we need the role of an intellect? How long we need the role of a reflected consciousness?
Yes, of course, intellect is limited, mind is limited, reflected consciousness is sooner do this, you don't need. But how
Do his logic, you cannot, we have seen that you cannot get rid of his understanding. He says that lamp is a self-evident, that is self-luminous. You don't need a torch. But how long you need the torch? That
very
needs to be
why?
understood clearly. So when you understand how long you need the intellect, you understand it clearly. You use it. You use it. Continue to use it until the intellect says, "Now I don't need. You don't need me." The intellect will say by itself that you don't need me. The knowledge of the real self is revealed. That is the example he. Do you see? No one has given this example. And he says, and when I read it and I said, oh, this is really, really good. It's a practical. Mind can easily understand it. Mind can easily understand it. Then I used to give other example. There is a total darkness outside my home. And I have to open a lock. So I need a torch. But the light is already on inside the house. The moment I open it, oh no, I don't need a torch. Finished. I need, so we need to intellect, we need to sharpen this intellect to a level where we say consciousness alone is the reality. Consciousness is the ultimate light. Intellect in the mind is the reflected light. It is limited. It is limited. Listen to it, think of it again and again, contemplate. We will put them into practice in our next